you have a lot more control of how a jiu-jitsu roll goes than you think. The reason why, especially if you find yourself losing the same way over and over again, the reason is probably that you've constrained your thought as to what is possible to jiu-jitsu to something narrow and predictable, and your partner knows you and just beats you repeatedly. Now, there is obviously a skill gap thing, right? If your partner is significantly bigger, stronger, more experienced than you, then what you do is matters less. But it's still stuck in my head that I was rolling, I felt 2 or 3 times in the day. There's a guy here at camp, uh, hoping I'm right, I believe his name's Tim. Tim has an amazing guard pass system that he's gotten really, really good at. And if I relax and let him begin his guard passing system, rolling with him for me is hard as rolling with any black belt. If I let him start his thing that he's that guy at. If I simply hold on to one of his limbs so that he does not get to begin his system, then he feels like his appropriate rank. And I have more experience than him, and then rolling with him is rather easy for me. And so for me, as the upper belt, we're doing one round of the more skilled people who I have two choices. What do I want out of rolling with this person that clearly I have more experience than them, and if I want to, I can win? Am I trying to prove that I'm better at jiu-jitsu? I mean, fine, that's useful for a competition class, that's useful for if you and someone just want to have fun, have a match, but just beating up somebody who I always beat up, is that really going to make me better at jiu-jitsu? Probably not. However, if I let him get to his stuff, like, he's so good at it, like, he's got a really good chance of passing my guard, he might take my back, like, he's put so much work into this one area of his jiu-jitsu that in that area, he could beat me. And so for my growth, it's really good for me to let him have it. Like, let him get there and then see if I can unravel it. Because it allows me to have a roll with him where I can try my hardest. Because he's so good in that one area that it's an even match. But on the other hand, if I'm curious about the structure of this, because now what he's done, he's educated me. Charles is an area of jiu-jitsu that you don't fully understand and works well against your natural style of jiu-jitsu. So then for me, like an engineer, I want to take it apart. And so what I did every time I roll with him, I let him get there, and then I was like, what can I do? Like, is it my posture? Is it my gripping? What can I do to take him from a real threat to me to manageable? And I figured it out. And so by the end of rolling with a few times, I figured out a way to unravel this thing that, frankly, I didn't think could affect me. Other people have played that game in my experience, in my travels, in my home gym, that were not as skilled at it as he is. And so I didn't respect it. But he showed me, oh no, this thing can be dangerous. And now it forces me to get better. And that's part of why, for me, travel has been so valuable. Because you might have someone at your gym who's mediocre at an armbar from guard. And you always defend it. And so you're like, oh, arm bars from guard don't work. And then you go somewhere else to someone who, that's their stuff. Closed guard arm bar, like they do it. Great example, obviously, like one of the greatest of his generation, if not greatest, Hadra Gracie. Beat lots of people with a arm bar from guard. The most basic thing in jiu-jitsu. His arm bar from guard is not your random training partner, your gym's arm bar from guard. But if you never roll with him or roll with someone of that caliber, you would believe that whatever defense you have that defeats your current training partner is enough, and there's no more to learn here. So for those of you that might be more advanced, what I'd recommend is every one of your training partners is good at something, even the ones who don't think they are. In fact, usually it's the white and blue belts who are kind of a little down on themselves because they get submitted often that have something to give you. Because they're going to be, everyone is good at something. Like, even the person who walks in the door the first day has a life before jiu-jitsu, and they're going to be good at something. You just don't know what it is. Because that's why beginners are so surprising. They're going to naturally do stuff that you're not accustomed to dealing with. Like the person everyone hates rolling with, in my opinion, is one of the most valuable people in the gym for blue/purple belts and higher. And that's the spazzy white belt. The spazzy white belt who's a little dangerous, who's all elbows and knees, who like you might get a black eye from, who the gym owner has to like be like, hey, calm down. For other white belts, they're a liability. Other white belts, avoid that person for your own safety. You don't have enough skills yet to keep yourself safe rolling with them, even though they have less skills than you, because they're wild. But blue, purple, brown, black, being able to roll with that person without getting injured and without having to like hurt them or be violent with them, that shows your jiu-jitsu control. That to me is the perfect role for you. Even though, mind you, size matters. If you're a atom weight, the brand new super heavyweight, this might not be your battle. This might not be the one for you because you value your health and safety. But within reason, that person can be a value. So now, going back to building skills. So I gave you the idea of a random goal. Now let's think a little bit more critically of a goal that could be more valuable to you. What I want you to do, we'll start with defense. I want you to think of a place you usually lose. Because like, if you get beat up a bunch, you get submitted a bunch. Think of the last time you got submitted, or even the move you get submitted with a lot. And I want you to sit down and figure out what is required for that move to work. Try to figure it out. I want you to just take it, so it could be an arm bar, could be a rear naked choke, could be a guillotine. There will be a list of things that your opponent has to do for that thing to work. And I want you to figure that out. And what you're gonna do is get with your partner and have a conversation. If it's rear naked choke, you're gonna be the one offense. Put the rear naked choke on your partner and talk about, make a small list, maybe 4 things that they have to do in order for that thing to work. And then they can do the same thing themselves. All right? And then after you've made that small list, give your partner half of them. And see if you can't deny one of those things. And my goal is for you to figure out what is the critical thing that allows someone to finish that submission. And if you can deny them just that one thing, you don't get submitted. And that's the first step. And the next step would be, if I can then stop myself from getting submitted, while they're fixating on submitting me, what's my path out? So I went a little further than I wanted to in just one chunk, but first, so to recap, get with your partner, figure out the thing that you get submitted with the most. List of 4 things maybe, that someone needs to do, the thing that you get submitted with the most. Figure out one of them that you can deny, and then tinker with your partner. So this is going to be all like mostly dead, but semi-live in the idea that you and your partner should have a conversation about this, see if they agree, disagree. But this is still jiu-jitsu training, but we're definitely not rolling. And I'm not teaching you anything, because it's all coming from inside of you. Because you remember the last time you got submitted. We all do. That's how jiu-jitsu goes. You might not remember the last time you submitted someone, but you remember the last time someone got you. Good luck. So, I had a couple people that were struggling and kind of asked for help, and I had to use self-control because, like, I am a coach at heart, and like I want to give you the answer, but I'm not going to be there with you at your gym. It's like I want to have you learn how to get the answers. And so, did anybody have success with coming up with an idea? 2 people got ideas. So anybody have struggles coming up with an idea as to how to deal with this problem? A little bit. All right. Let's get an example of both. So somebody who had a success, do they want to talk about it with the class? All right. You seem really confident. What happened?
So I struggle. I typically suck at getting out of close guard, so I'll bait the triangle. Mm-hmm. And once they lock the triangle up, I'm really bad at escaping it. It turns out I was grabbing and pinning the wrong leg to the mat.
Oh, cool. You just discovered that just talking to him about it.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Nice.
And yeah, it showed me like just posturing the head and stuff. So hopefully I can go back. There's this one lanky kid at my gym. He locks them up so good.
Excellent. So this exercise that I just did with you, you can make a friend or acquaintance at your gym and do this exercise. The results, as much as I want you guys to get better, the results you're getting are not the point of what we're doing here. The point is that you can do things like this. And this is, like I said, none of these specific exercises are even the point. I'm making up a bunch of different exercises because it's limitless. This is just an idea of having a checklist. It's one of the ways that I built my game because I got to the point at my gym that I realized when I was aggressive, because I was fast and explosive, it made everybody clam up. and I couldn't submit anybody because I was scaring them. So in order to get people, I had to give them something. So I started giving people my foot or my arm, but then I started getting submitted. So I had to give them enough where they think they're winning, but not so much that they can submit me. And then I would counter. That became my game. It's how I kind of became more of a counter player than an aggressive player. This is just one path. But one thing I want you to think about is I'm a really big fan of understanding that everything has an opposite. So any situation you're in, it has an opposite. So almost you can view the world as either binary or trinary. And what do I mean by that? Binary is on off. Trinary is left, right, and doing nothing. So up, down, nothing. Flexed, relaxed, and neutral. So fully relaxed, fully flexed, and then there's still neutral that isn't all the way relaxed, right? So most things you can split into those categories. If I push on you, you can either push back, you can go with it, or you can do nothing. And so usually if there's a scenario where things are going wrong for you, just think, what is the exact opposite thing I could do? So usually when someone is trying to strangle you, what are you doing? You're collapsing up to hide your neck. What's the opposite of that? I guess I could extend my entire body. And going extremely the opposite direction isn't always the answer, but it gives you a different variable to toss in the mix and see. Right? You want to fail fast and you want to lose differently. Right? You want to make the match keep evolving, so now you get more data to keep on evolving. Cool. Anybody who had like a mess where they were not able, welcome, where they were not able to figure out what to do, they want help with. I will help you now. Anybody? Okay. If you don't want to do it in front of the class, we can just catch me after the class. I'll help you in private. So we're going to switch back to those of you that are on the end where maybe you're stagnating. This is actually one of my favorite drills. Oh wait, I'm too close to the camera. One of my favorite drills, it involves tennis balls, but we can do it other ways as well. So the tennis ball drill is that in the beginning of the match, each person gets one tennis ball. And you can win one of two ways. You can win if your partner drops their tennis ball, or you can win if you submit them. Every time you drop a tennis ball or you get submitted, you get to give your partner the tennis ball. Right? And your partner only wins if they can beat you while they have two tennis balls, which means they have to submit you 2 times in a row. And so even if your partner's about to submit you, if you can steal a tennis ball, you win, you get your tennis ball back. And you've taken away one variable. The entire point of the drill is gripping. It's, can I do jiu-jitsu without my hands? And then suddenly you realize, oh, my wrists are really useful. The same drill can be repeated with boxing gloves. It's something that I used to do. I would put on the big, bulky boxing gloves, and suddenly not only do I not have a grip, my hand is really big. So if somebody has an armbar on me, I'm not getting my hand out. So that entire list of escapes no longer is an option for me. And so we're using external objects to restrict ourselves. But let's say that you don't have tennis balls or boxing gloves handy. How can you do it? You have a roll, and every time you get submitted, you get to choose one of your partner's limbs or their eyesight and take it from them. So if I submit you, you can pick right arm, right foot, left foot, or eyes. And I now, for the next roll, can't use it. So I'd have to put my arm in here, or it would mean that I no longer can push off of this leg. You obviously have the leg, you can't make it disappear. It's easier to pull your arm in. You can't really take your leg out of the game, but you can't push off of it, which means now you're stuck on bottom if you lose that leg. You can't triangle with it, you have one leg. Losing legs is way harder than losing arms, but that's the general idea, and you'll be interested to see how it goes. But what'll happen? Well, you're probably going to lose. Well, great, then you get your leg back. Right? And once you're whole again, then you can start stealing from your partner. And it makes the match really interesting, but also, all of this only works if you and your partner can be on the same page that we're doing something exploratory. What if your partner isn't on the same page as you? Which is going to happen in gyms that are more competitive. Because no matter how much you want to have fun and grow, you might have a training partner that's just like, no, bro, it's go time, right? Some people just have no chill. With those types of people, once again, go back to the very beginning, you change what it means to win. I'm going to give you 2 little annoyances that I like for people like this, because it's not illegal, you're not hurting them, but they don't get to have the fun they want of destroying you and getting, because so one of them is called, there are two grips. One's the taco, one's the ice cream cone. They're two of my favorite things to do. And instead of trying to beat them, I just try to see how long I can maintain one of those two grips. Can I borrow you? So they're, if you're German, it's Döner. Think Döner, how you hold a Döner. As American, we like tacos. They're different. But all I do is I grab their foot like this while I'm guard passing. And I start counting in my head. And if I get to 30, I win. And I give myself a point internally. And I grab the other one. All right? Because if you have your internal scoring system where you're racking up points, you can be smiling and your partner has no idea why you're smiling while they're beating the crap out of you. But you're happy, and that shift of your internal state changes everything for the match. Same thing with the ice cream cone grip. Can you have your fingers? It's legal in all jiu-jitsu to grab 4 fingers, but it only works if you make them go on top of each other. If you look, it looks like a cone. His hand is the ice cream. And take your hand back. Very annoying. He needs 2 hands, right? So I'm like, just grab it again. And now I can't fight that one. And the cool thing is, if you're a no-gi player, or if you're a gi player, everyone in the gi reaches for the sleeve. They cannot get to my sleeve before their fingers come. So they're reaching for my sleeve as they come towards, I get their hand. And what do most gi players have in common? Crappy fingers. So don't get me wrong, like you don't want to escalate this too much. If you see like a wad of mummy tape, maybe don't grab those fingers and break their fingers because they're gonna hate you. But the other one, which is the drill that we're gonna do right now, is one of my favorite, because thank you so much. It's this notion of tension and relaxation. When you relax your body, you become heavier and harder to move. If you've ever babysat or had a child, you know that a sleeping child is 10 times heavier than an awake child. If you've never been around children, you've had a drunk friend. You know that a passed out drunk friend is way heavier than an awake drunk friend. Right? If you've had neither, I don't know what you're doing in your life. Usually one of these things is involved, depending on the path you took. So all you're gonna do is play. But imagine you're doing this in a regular roll. You can do this from anywhere. So if you're on top of the person, just fall and make your body go limp. And in your head, your goal is going to be to get to a certain count. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. The cool thing is, it's your game. So you make up the rules. If you feel like this person's really good, maybe 5 seconds of being a dead body on top of them is a victory for you. But as long as the games you're playing in your head are just yours and they have no idea what you're doing, you're having your own private party that they don't know about. And so suddenly, like, yeah, you tapped me out 4 times, but I got 47 points. What do you mean? Don't worry about it. I got 47 points. And so try it out. This is once again, so there's different things. There's skill building. I call this portion morale building. You're keeping your morale up even though you're in a situation where and you're gonna also find that these silly things I'm giving you, they can also be used competitively. No guard in jiu-jitsu works if I take one of your legs entirely away. There might be one, but most guards don't, and they don't work properly. If I take both your feet away, they don't work. Very hard to grab things if I have your fingers. Very hard to pick me up if I'm a dead body. And you'll find that these silly things that we're doing, you can now bring to your real game. The second someone tries to pick me up, dead body. They start moving, I'm moving again, right? So play with these 2 little things as an idea, and then we're gonna come back to things. So all you're gonna do is get with your partner. You can pick one of those 2. You can either try and taco grip them or you can slay, but just start off, just roll normally and then count in your head somewhere between 5 and 10 seconds and then just collapse. See what happens. Have fun. Off you go. But I still have 5 more.